Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. I am trying to hit 100k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. You know what? Why don't we amend this? How about we say 80k by the end of the year? Why do I keep doing the 100 thing knowing that it's not going to happen? I would like to hit 80k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so if you could subscribe, it would be much appreciated. With that said, real quick, if you have not yet, I just released another deep dive. Hey, look at me doing two deep dives in 2 weeks. That's pretty good for me. Have not done that since the series' very conception. So if you go check out that video, it is called The Plight of the Robin, which first of all, I love the name, even though I don't think it's good for YouTube's algorithm. But it is about why guys like Scottie Pippen like kind of lose their mind to second options, why Kobe left Shaq, why Kyrie left LeBron, just kind of like the stigma around being a second option and why those guys take issue with it sometimes. So go check that out. It would be much appreciated. Also, this is only one video today, unfortunately, because I had to take a nap after uploading that video because I was fucking exhausted. I just want to say real quick, I have not been able to upload post-game recaps on this channel to the degree that I have wanted to. Just because of the move and then trying to get back into high quality videos again, it has really just rocked my world and made it to where I can't do this as much as I want. Trust me, it is a want thing, because not only do I just want to watch more games, but also there's a financial incentive involved. So I'm trying to get back on top of shit. Hopefully getting my schedule in order will happen soon. I'm going to try to do that next week, but no promises because my life is a fucking nightmare. Okay, let's talk about the two games I want to today, and that is Clippers-Lakers and Suns-Warriors. I only watched the second half of Clippers-Lakers, so take that for what you will, but it was a relatively close game at halftime. I believe the Clippers had a minor lead, but it really felt... It was a close game, but it was one of those close games where it felt like one of these teams had it and the other just didn't, and it kind of felt the whole way through, at least to me, that the Clippers had it. Now, the Lakers actually did make it interesting late in the fourth quarter, but it just felt like to me the whole damn game that, or should I say that whole damn half, because I didn't watch the first half, but it just felt like the Clippers were in control and that the Lakers were kind of just stuck in the mud. And I think part of that pertains to LeBron James, and you know, I understand that LeBron does his coasting thing, but it does sometimes annoy me where I'm like, hey, can you just flip the switch for like 5 minutes, dude? Like, I know you have it in you. I realize why you don't do it all the time, but like, you're in a close game. Could you stop taking 30-foot jump shots for like 5 seconds? LeBron's a good shooter, make no mistake. Like, I don't think enough people credit LeBron for the fact that he's just a good three-point shooter now. But I still would rather see him going downhill, and there's moments where you see him just go like, all right, I'm LeBron, and then that's the game. I feel like he can flip that switch more often than he does, but I don't know. Maybe if the Lakers were like, you know, winning a lot, I wouldn't be too annoyed at it, but it's like, come on. Your team needs these wins. You're falling down to, what is it, the 7th seed now after this game, and they're 500. And honestly, 12-12 is really bad, but the Western Conference is just also really bad, and that's probably going to be a main channel video, is just that the East looks a lot better than the West. The West is very top-heavy. The East is very well-rounded. Let's put it that way. There are 11 teams that are 500 in the East, whereas there are only 7 in the West. So what's the point I'm trying to make here? So like I said, it felt like the Clippers were going to win the whole way through. The Lakers had some interesting moments with small ball offensively, where again, LeBron at center, Melo at the 4. I saw them experiment with that. I don't remember what the game was, but it was the last Lakers game that I watched, and it was very interesting. And it has its merits offensively, but defensively, I'm not going to lie, LeBron at center was kind of getting cooked at moments. There was a couple of different plays where he got burned by Isaiah Hartenstein. And no offense to Isaiah Hartenstein, but he's like a barely in the rotation type of NBA player. I don't care that he's a center. LeBron should not be getting burned by him, not to mention that Isaiah is not a big, physically imposing center. So that's not good. And you know, I'm not going to be too mad at LeBron for not being a depth for playing center, but just a lot of possessions where it was like he made, like, there was one play where he gambled like a motherfucker on a loose ball that shouldn't have made that gamble, and it resulted in Hartenstein making a pass to Terrence Mann for a dunk down low. So that was a thing. I will say the saving grace for the Lakers it was the fourth quarter. Malik Monk had 15 points in the fourth quarter. He needs to start. I'm fucking tired of Talen Horton-Tucker. This is my whole thing. Talen Horton-Tucker can be good. Not on this team. Please stop. He's not a three-point shooter really at all. He's made improvements this year, I think. Actually, let me look at his stats, because he started off shooting well, and I remember it's dipped. So what is he at from three now? 25% on 3.5 attempts. Yeah, get Malik Monk out there in the starting lineup and stop playing him so fucking much. Trade him. I said this when they signed him. Signing Talen Horton-Tucker to $10 million a year only makes sense if you're using him as a trade chip, and that salary makes it easier to make a trade, because otherwise, giving that guy big rotation minutes, it's not his fault, but for the Lakers personnel, what you need out there is a shooter. Talen Horton-Tucker is a lot of things. He's not a shooter. So start Malik Monk. He was fantastic because he can shoot the fucking ball. He hit 4 3-pointers in this game. I think all 4 of those were in the fourth quarter. So there's that. Other than that, Carmelo Anthony hit a big 3, and Marcus Morris hit a big 3 off of glass to basically seal the game. On the Clipper side of things, on top of the thing that I mentioned with Isaiah Hartenstein, there was also Luke Kennard, who had a phenomenal fourth quarter, hit a huge 3-pointer, hit a mid-range shot where he was left completely wide open. Like it not even mid-range, he was technically in the paint. It was a really short jumper. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. I mean, nothing really outstanding from the big guys for the Clippers. Paul George, Reggie Jackson didn't really do much. It was kind of their role players. Terrence Mann had that one dunk, and that's the entirety of the points he's had. Terrence Mann's been kind of disappointing to me, because I said going into the season for the Clippers that he could be like potentially most improved player candidate. And if I look at his stats, he's averaging 10 points and 5 rebounds, which is 3 more points, and where are the rebounds, and 1.4 more rebounds, which, you know, for a 10-minute per game leap, not really the level of improvement that I anticipated. So let's talk about Warriors Suns next. I watched the entirety of this game, kind of hoping for it to be more of a game, not realizing that the injury that Devin Booker sustained in the it might have been the end of the first half or the very start of the second half of the the game that happened before this with these two teams. Devin Booker apparently still out from that. I don't actually know what that injury was, but I guess he was out for the last game the Suns played as well. But anyways, this game was much more in Golden State's favor, much more in Steph Curry's favor. While Steph only finished with 23 points, I can tell you he looked a lot more comfortable out there. Now, there was a stretch of time where Mikal Bridges was off of the floor because he had some sort of injury. He went back to the locker room, but he came back. I think the report said that he strained something, but it was fine. But Steph was getting open from 3. He was hitting some difficult shots, and, you know, it just looked a lot more comfortable out there. I feel like it felt like he had more than 23. Let's put it that way. And, you know, 6 for 11 from outside, so that's cool. Other than that, it was more of a team effort here. Andrew Wiggins with 19, Jordan Poole with 14. What's weird about Jordan Poole is that I thought a lot of his impact would come as a shooter, but as it turns out, he's just like way more of a threat in the paint. As a matter of fact, does NBA.com have 2-point percentage? I don't know if they do. They do not. So I'm going to go to Basketball Reference real quick and look up Jordan Poole's stats. Not Jordan Lloyd. That is a different person. Jordan Poole. There we go. He shoots 60% from 2, which for a guard, it's really fucking good. So he does a lot more of his damage inside the paint. Not in the paint necessarily. It can be his mid-range game that's fantastic as well. But floaters, finishing, back cuts, he gets a lot from Draymond. Just a lot more of a inside the perimeter guy than I originally anticipated, because from 3 he's shooting 35% on 8 attempts, which is good, but, you know, sometimes he takes shots and I'm like, I don't know if you should have taken that. So the outside stuff, not as much as I had anticipated. But Andrew Wiggins had himself a game. He did that Penny Hardaway move that everybody loves. And Gary Payton II, Juan Toscano Anderson, two of my favorite players, especially Juan. Really, really good games from them. Juan sucked in the Suns game most previous, so it's nice to see him bounce back from that. He had 5 turnovers in like 10 minutes, and that was all that he brought to the table. But this game, he starts it off with a dunk, and it really felt like, a lot of right place, right time finishes, fast break things, stuff like that. Finished with 17, 5, and 5 on 7 for 8 from the field. Just absolutely fucking fantastic from Juan. Gary Payton, kind of the same thing where he's very often finding himself a right place, right time for some finishes, and hit his 3-pointers, which is like the thing that he's not good at, but he did it today. He was 3 for 5, hit 1 3 out of the corner when the game was already over. That was like, wow, you stepped into that with confidence. Draymond Green with a 9-9-9 6 and 3 game on 70% shooting. That's a very Draymond Green stat line if I've ever seen one. Hit his open jump shots, hit a mid-range shot, hit a 3, so that's cool. He also hit a post fade in the Suns game, the one before this one. It was like, wow. I know you did that in the summer league when you were a rookie, but I haven't really seen it since. So let me talk about Phoenix's side of things here. What's weird is DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton had a fine game. Felt like he should have had a great game. He had a lot of those shots that were like kind of like 50-50, where it's a shot that requires a lot of touch. And DeAndre Ayton, generally speaking, has pretty good touch. But just kind of missed most of those. I think he only hit one shot that like required touch for real. That's one of the things for an example of how this can, bleed over negatively. Nikola Vucevic for the Bulls. A lot of touch shots, which he's generally pretty good at, has been missing them all season. That's why he's been struggling. So DeAndre just missed a couple of those. And, got to the free throw line a ton, and really the Suns got to the free throw line a ton, period, by comparison to the Warriors. They shot They shot 35 free throw attempts, and the Warriors shot 12. So, it's not always as simple as free throw attempts for how officiating was going, but I will say it did feel like the officiating was in Phoenix's favor. Chris Paul had a fine-ish game, did not shoot the ball as much as you'd like, especially in a game without Devin Booker. And then Landry Shamet started off the game really well. He hit 3 threes in the first quarter, didn't do shit else after that. And then they didn't really have much contribution after that. So, if you're not going to get anybody to really score the ball at a high volume outside of DeAndre Ayton on 44% from the field, which for someone who shoots like 65% from the field is a very down game. They just didn't have enough offense, and their defense was relatively fine up until like the third and fourth quarter, late third, and then basically the entirety of the fourth quarter. It was one of those moments where the Warriors offense was just rolling, and it felt like nothing would miss, and so many fantastic passes, so many open shots, leaving the defense scrambling. And it's just one of those moments with the Warriors that makes me say they're going to win the championship this year. That system is just so fucking deadly, and I don't think there is a team in the league right now that's going to beat that when that system also has Klay Thompson in it. So shout out to Juan Toscano Anderson, because he's like one of my favorite players. And yeah, that is it. Goodbye.